सहनावतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये। ॐ आप्यायन्तु ममाङ्गानि वाक्प्राणश्चक्षुश्रोत्रमथो बलमिन्द्रियाणि च सर्वाणि सर्वं ब्रह्म उपनिषदं माहं ब्रह्म निराकुर्याम् मा ब्रह्म निराकरणमस्त्वनिराकरणं मे अस्तु तदात्मनि निरध्यौपनिषत्सु धर्मास्ते मयि सन्तु ते मयि सन्तु। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। यत्र नान्यत् पश्यति नान्यत् शृणोति नान्यद् विजानाति स भूमा अथ यत्र अन्यत् पश्यति अन्यत् शृणोति अन्यद् विजानाति तदल्पं यो वै भूमा तदमृतम् अथ यदल्पं तन्मर्त्यं स भगवः कस्मिन् प्रतिष्ठित इति स्वे महिम्नि यदि वा न महिम्नीति। यत्र न अन्यत् पश्यति न अन्यत् शृणोति न अन्यत् विजानाति न अन्यत् मनुते। यत्र where anyat na pashyati, one does not see anything other than oneself. The other. Why is this said? Because usually in our seeing, the duality of the seer and the seen is always involved. Not only that, but we take for granted that I, the seer, is different from what is seen. So that is our experience, that is our conclusion. And that is now shown here. The truth of this particular experience or conclusion is shown here. So Vedanta, as we have said, tells us that any experience is good enough to understand the nature of truth. We do not require a special experience. Any experience. Because what is this truth? If for truth being what it is dependent upon some experience, time, place, condition, then surely that is what we would require to know the truth. But since what is truth? So yatra na anyat pashyati, where one does not see anything other than oneself. So when the word yatra is used where, it is called adhikaranam, it is seventh case. So where means at what place, at what time, or what condition, and what state. Na anyat pashyati. Looks like the Upanishad is talking about a time, place, condition or state other than what it is now. As though now what I am seeing is different from me. I mean, this is how the idea may be conveyed. So Vashyakara say yatra doesn't mean here an adhikaranam. It is in fact denial of adhikaranam, that anyat na pashyati. At no time does one see anything other than oneself. Even when I think that I see you that are different from me and I, the drashta, is different from you, and therefore I think that I see different from me, even then it is not so. But I see you different from me. How can you say you are not different and I am not different? You said in the morning that depends upon what my conclusion about I is. So conclusions about everything else is ultimately based on my conclusion about myself. That you, even that pronoun you and the pronoun I, which exclude each other, is what we normally use in our daily transaction or daily use of words. But all these words are also based on my preconceived notion. That all of this, what is ignorance is that these preconceived notions are ignorance. Meaning that at no time there is anything other than I. Not that at this time that you are different and I am different, or there is difference between the drashta and drishya, seer and seen. When I think that we are different, then also the difference is not there. This is what Upanishad wants to say. How can it be seen? See? So the truth is to be seen. See the fact that there is nothing other than you. That way, the Upanishad is inviting us to examine whether my understanding of myself is right, because in that understanding you are different from me and I am different from you as I understand. So if I take my understanding and my conclusion as the basis, then this doesn't make sense. If I take that as a basis, then my understanding doesn't make sense. So what is meant by Shraddha is not that I question this based on what I think it is. Shraddha means that this is the basis and I now question whether my understanding is right or not. Then only ignorance can go, because ignorance is there in our life, and that ignorance manifests as all these various conclusions, basically, primarily conclusion about myself. But I am the first one that is experienced by me. And then I experience other things. And whatever I experience, it is the nature of my intellect to have an opinion about that, a conclusion, a judgment about that. I cannot interact unless I have a judgment. Even when I am looking at you, I am doing right now this transaction of speaking, I have a judgment about who you are, who I am talking to. Who I am talking to, who are the jignasus, is one thing, or all curious people, other thing. People who are just here by default and not whatever my conclusion is, then my interaction will be different. My whole attitude will be different. Is it not so? And so if we take this na anyat pashyati, one does not see anything other than oneself. This is the present tense. Na anyat pashyati. That means that when I think that I am seeing something else, I should examine whether is it a reality or is it my conclusion. That what I see is different from me. Is it a reality or is it my conclusion? Upanishad says, Anyatna pashyati. There is nothing else that you see. Seeing is there, but Anyat is not there. Pashyati, I see. But Anyat pashyati, I see something or someone different from me. The Anyat, na Anyat, Anyat is not. So that Anyat, that other, is it a reality or is it my imagination? Or projection, in the words of Vedanta. And we said that you are different from me is based on my conclusion about who I am. Because that is where the first judgment takes place, and I say that I am so and so. How do I say? Because of the habit of identifying with the body, and therefore I am where the body is, I am what the body is. And there is the idea of other comes. So Upanishad invites us to analyze the idea of other and says there is no other. That other cannot be only if the I is not there, the I, a confined I is not there, the only the other thing cannot be. Is it not so? So when the other is not there, that means that your notion of I is likely wrong. Examine who you are. Yeah, I know who I am. Do you? I know I am the body, but do you? So that is why the whole process being with Nama all the way to Asha were all discussed, these were all upadhi, to help us understand that is all upadhi, that's all vesha, that the I is different from them. And so that other also is something that is only with reference to body, not with reference to I. That you, when I say you are different from me, all it means is that body is different from this body. Is it not so? Because what I see is body. Do I see I and do I see you? Yes, I see you, Swamiji. Do I see you? Or do you see me? Yes, Swami. You are sitting there, you see the body. You are sitting there, I see the body. Only if I equate this body as I and that body as you, then I can say that I see you as different from me. But that equation has already been assumed by me. Then I'm invited. This body, are you the body? Because you are aware of the body, and aware of the mind, and aware of this, and so this is upadhi, you are aware of this vesha or the costume. And similarly also I see you, I see the body that is there, and I can perhaps infer what the mind is based on the expression on the face, etc. There is no way that I can visualize or I can objectify consciousness that you are. Can I? No. Nor can you objectify the consciousness that I am. This morning we said, I am a conscious being, that much I know. What is the nature of conscious being? What is nature? What is who am I? What is the abiding aspect of me? In I also there are two things. There is one aspect of I that keeps changing, there is another aspect of I that does not change. That I am a speaker, I am a listener, I am a talker, a walker, eater. That all walker, talker, eater, etc. keeps on changing, but I am does not change. So even in I also there is a changing aspect I should recognize. And in I also the abiding aspect, that alone is called truth. For example, in all these ornaments, etc., in this, the abiding aspect is gold. If some strong person just crushes this, the thing will have a different name. And breaks it, then will have a different name. Like when you are traveling in the aeroplane and there are all those, they give you some nuts and stuff like that in a plastic bag, and regardless of what I do, you require some restless somebody to break that open. then I have to ask the air hostess and right away breaks it open. Similarly, so it depends. Somebody can crush this and do a variety of things, the names will change when form changes. Here also there is an abiding aspect and there is a changing aspect. Gold is the abiding aspect and the form, and therefore the name is changing aspect. What is changing is not the truth. What is abiding is called truth. Because changing is incidental, it need not be. This form need not be for the gold to be. That name used need not be for the gold to be. Gold is required for the bangle to be. And therefore, if you ascertain what is the truth about this entity, what is the abiding, non-changing aspect of it, which is gold? And similarly, what is the truth about me? What is abiding about me? And that you know that I am a speaker, I am a listener, I am a talker, a walker. But I never question that. I never question, I just take it for granted. That now I am a speaker. Later I will become a listener. Then I am a eater. I never question. How can you be? If you are a speaker, then like a speaker, it keeps on speaking, it doesn't listen. Is it not so? That's called a speaker. A listener is only listener, not speaker, a speaker, a speaker. An eater means you keep on eating, that's all you do. But any question? Like this, this crystal, what is there? Now it appears to be green, and then it appears to be violet, and then it appears to be red, and so on. The crystal should question, who am I? I'm red, I'm green, I'm violet. Without questioning, it assumes about itself. How can one thing be totally different? How can there be change in a given thing? Unless the change is due to something else. That crystal appears to have different colors. Is it because crystal has different colors, or is something else because of which the crystal looks colored? Isn't it? So that crystal looks red, or crystal looks violet or blue. Is it because of crystal or because of things? So in the crystal also there is a changing aspect, red, blue, green, and an unchanging thing, the crystal. Similarly, this walker, talker, is walker the essential nature of I, or walker is because of something else? So I is like the crystal, which appears like a walker because something is walking. It appears like a talker because something else is talking, something else is walking, something else is thinking, something else, etc. Something else is doing that. And the I is taken to be that without even questioning. A simple question we do not ask. How can I take myself to be walker when I thought that I was a listener a little while ago? How can I be mutually exclusive thing because walker is not listener, talker is not listener, etc., etc. And thus when we look at what I call drashta, is drashta my inherent nature? Is the seer my inherent nature? See, something is seeing and I say I am seeing. Something is hearing, I say I am hearing. So when drashta is not there, drishya also is the reference to drashta, or drashta is the reference to drishya. Therefore, na anyat pashyate. One never sees, even when I think that I am seeing something other than myself, or someone other than myself, I am not, because there is no other. Does it make sense? Other is what? With reference to body, not with reference to I. So Upanishad says there is no other. Even though it looks like my all vyavhara and conclusions in life is all based on other. And what all problems it creates? Other means other, not I. Mine is mine. You is different. That is how all kinds of Veda, all divisions come, all exclusions come, all inclusions, all sorts of politics comes. We are all politicians. When I look upon you as different from me, then I have my own self-interest, which is not your interest, etc., etc. I mean, this is how samsara comes. Samsara comes not because there is a reason for samsara, because of my wrong perception of myself, and therefore wrong perception of other things, which is called ignorance. So Vedanta explains that there is no reason other than ignorance and the false notions caused by ignorance. To remove them, we are told, na anyat pashyati. Not at yatra, at some time, in the state of knowledge, right now. If right now there is anyat, and sometime it is not anyat, then something has to happen. You follow? That now that I know, therefore I find there is no anyat. Earlier the anyat was there, and now it is not there. No. Earlier also was, when I thought there was anyat, even then also it was not there. So now it's simple. Question every conclusion. I am seeing, I am hearing, I am talking, who is seeing? Who is hearing? Who is talking? Who is walking? I am walking, I am talking, I am seeing. Something is seeing. Don't say I am seeing. The eyes are seeing. Shrotrasya shrotram, manaso manoyat, vacho vacham. Ultimately, Upanishad, tell us that. That is how Yovai Bhuma Tadamrutam. This is the teaching of non-duality, because duality is only my notion and not a reality. Upanishad cannot teach non-duality if duality is reality. Then that, even if Upanishad says it doesn't change things. Upanishad says non-duality. I think it is duality, and that is inviting me to examine my conclusions. Basically, that's what Vedanta does. Invites us to examine our conclusions. Beginning from my conclusion of myself, and then every other conclusion is based on that. So therefore, what is this Bhuma? Because there is no duality. Huh? No, because my phone rings like this, It has this kind of a... That's why I'm concerned. I don't carry it, thank God. So, what is Bhuma? There is nothing other than Bhuma, nothing other than infinite, nothing other than whole and complete. Because I is complete, you are complete, what is complete? No such in between, all these bodies are there, mind is there, all sorts of things are there. How can you say completeness alone is? There is homogeneous things. That is like there are those in the ocean sometimes, those little rocks of stone or of icebergs. Many icebergs are floating in the ocean. Looks like there are many entities, is it not so? Are there? What is an iceberg? When water becomes egoistic. I am so and so. Poor thing does not know that it divides, it creates division. That I am so and so, meaning that I am not other things. Swami used to say, this is my house, means you are declaring other houses are not mine. I am so and so, meaning I am not anything else. So therefore, my satisfaction of being so and so is short-lived, because right away it means that I am not other things. Then immediately there is a sense of lack or want. The moment I say I am so and so, it is contained. Not that there is a need for lack or want. The lack or want is because of my notion, conclusion about myself. There is no lack. There is no want. What is this Bhuma? Yovai Bhuma Tadamrutam. Alpam tanmartyam. Again, yogi bhuma tat sukham nalpe sukham asti. What is alpam? Yatra anyat pashyati, anyat shrunoti, anyat vijanati, where one sees one different from oneself, one sees the other, hears something other than oneself, sees something different from oneself. That is called alpam, that is called limited, that is called mortal. Thank God there is no such thing. There is no other. Then why does Upanishad say yatra anyat pashyati, anyat shranoti, anyat vijanati, where one sees something different from oneself, when one hears something different from oneself, when one knows something different. Why? One thinks that one sees something different from oneself. So one knows that na anyat pashyati, na anyat shranoti, na anyat vijanati, and one thinks anyat pashyati, anyat shranoti, anyat vijanati. One is a statement of the reality, other is a statement of the notion or conclusion. One is a description of knowledge, other is a description of ignorance. Then Sayyid Narada asks a very interesting question. Sa Bhagavaha kasmin pratisthata iti. Bhagavaha, O Venerable Sir, Saha Bhuma, that Bhuma, that infinite, kasmin pratisthitaha, kasmin, again the seventh case, where is it established? Where is Bhuma established? So, Sanat Kumara said, Sve Mahimneti, Sve Atmiye Mahimni, Mahatme Vibhutau Pratisthita Bhuma. So, a tentative answer is given. Where is Bhuma Pratisthita? Where is Bhuma established? In its own glory, Sve Mahimni. In its own glory, its own greatness, in its own magnificence, it is established. Yadi pratistham ichchasi, kvachit, meaning that if you think that Bhuma must have a pratishtha, the question is, yadi pratistham ichchasi, if you desire pratishtha, meaning that if your conclusion is that Bhuma is established in something, then my answer is, it is established in its own glory. But if you want to really know, यदि वह परमात्मा पृच्छसे, but if you are asking the reality of Bhuma, na mahimni api, that it's not established even in its own glory. Apratishthataha, atha anashritaha Bhuma. Bhuma is not established in anything. That means that Bhuma is not dependent upon anything. Now this question sounds strange and simple, but it is very profound from the answer that comes. Yadi svamahimne pratishthato bhuma katham tari apratishta uchyate. When you, on one hand you say that Bhuma is svamahimne pratishtita, is established in its own glory, yadiva apratishthita, then how can you say it is not established? On one hand you say that it is established in its own glory, and then right away you say, or you may say that it is not established at all. So there is a next passage here which we have not included here. It explains what Mahima is in the day-to-day Vyavhara. Goshma Mahima Tya Chakshate. What is like Devadatta? He is Chaitra or Devadatta. He enjoys his glory because he possesses cows and horses and elephants and gold and servants and fields and houses, and so much he possesses. That is called his glory. So, this is what we understand as glory. A wealthy person possesses glory because of wealth. A famous person possesses glory because of fame. A powerful person possesses glory because of power, isn't it? Naham evam bravimi. I'm not saying that Bhuma is abundant. It is limitless. It is all pervasive. It is self of all. So is Bhuma self of all pervasive, complete, whole because of something else? Like Devdatta. Devdatta is wealthy because of wealth. Devdatta is famous because of fame. Devdatta is powerful because of power. Meaning that the famousness of Devdatta depends upon something other than himself. The wealthiness of Devdatta depends upon wealth different from him. So normally the glory is something different. So one is generally established in glory that is different from oneself. Which means that it's quite likely that Devadatta, if he loses his wealth, he is no more wealthy and no more glorious. When the glory is on account of something else, it's likely that you may be without the glory also. Because the wealth is independent of Devadatta. Wealth happens to be Devadatta right now. And the stock price will go down. Devadatta becomes. People overnight turn from millionaires to paupers. In 2008, when there was all this stuff going on in the stock market and so forth, overnight people found them from millionaires to paupers. Just an example. Because he was a glorious person, very proud, and he was going in some circles and restaurants, and the next day he has nothing, because his glory was because of something else. So Bhuma is all pervasive, self of all, limitless, infinite. Is it because of something else? That's why it's a Swami Himni. No, glory of Bhuma is not because something that abundance or that limitlessness is not different from Bhuma. So Bhuma is not limitless because of something other than itself. Limitlessness is its nature. See, wealthiness is not the nature of Devadatta. Famous is not the nature of Devadatta. If some kind of a scandal comes out, then fame is gone. All you need is somebody coming up and say, this fellow did something 1500 years ago, that's all, he's gone. There was a time when all famous people were attacked like this. And everybody believes only women these days, any day. And so, this is just an example. How a person's status, he was so regardless, so much famous and whatever, overnight it is gone. It's not even proven. It's just an accusation, but that's all. This is just perhaps a wrong example. The idea is that how the so-called glory all is dependent upon something else, and therefore that Devadatta can be without glory if his glory is because of something else. Similarly also, Bhuma can be without non-duality. It may not be infinite, it may not be limitless if that limitlessness is because of something else. Not so. Therefore, Swami Himni. That Bhuma is what it is because it is its nature and not that it is so because of something else. Anya anyasmin pratisthitaha. Usually one is established in something else. That's called glory. That's not what I mean. Then what do you mean by the glory of Bhuma? So this is now we have some interesting passages coming up. Evam bravimi. What I mean by the glory of Bhuma is as I am saying now. So then we have the passage 38 on the page 10. Seva adhastat, sapurishtat, sapaschat, sapurastat, sadakshinatah, sauttaratah, sa eva idam sarvam iti atha atah ahankaradeshah अहंकारादेशः एव अहमेव अधस्तात् अहमुपरिष्टात् अहं पश्चात् अहं पुरस्तात् अहं दक्षिणतः अहमुत्तरतः अहमेव इदं सर्वमिति. So what is the nature of the Mahima or glory of Bhuma? So Sa refers to Bhuma. Kasmat punah kvachit na pratishtati uchyate. Sir, on what basis, what is the reason, on what basis do you say that Bhuma is not established in something else? That the glory of Bhuma is because of Bhuma himself. It's like saying, the glory of the sun is bright. The brightness of the glory of the sun. Does sun depend upon something else to be bright? Brightness is the glory of the sun. Is sun dependent upon something else for being bright? No. Similarly also, Bhuma does not depend upon anything else for what it is. Therefore, that Bhuma is Sarvatma, self of all. Bhuma is Sarvam, is all. Bhuma is Sarvatma, so Bhuma is everything. Seva adhastat, sa uparishtat, sa eva adhastat. Bhuma alone is adhastat, below. Sa uparishtat, Bhuma alone is above. Sa paschat, Bhuma alone is behind. Sa dakshinatah, sa purastat, Bhuma alone is in front. Sa dakshinatah, he alone is in dakshina, means on the right also and left you can say, or south and north. So dakshinatah, uttaratah, south or north, or left and right and left. Sa eva idam sarvam, sa alone, he alone is idam sarvam, all of this. So Tikakara explains here, when he says that Bhuma alone is adhastat, what is below, then again what is below? Bhuma is what is below. So then what is below seems to have its own existence, and Bhuma is what is below. Bhuma is what is in front. So front is one thing and what is in the front is a different thing. You know, what is in the front? You are in my front. So you are one thing and front is different. You understand this? The fan is above. The aboveness is one thing and fan is a different thing. So fan is above. You are in front. The wall is at the back. This is on the right. Ganga is on the right. The kutia is on the right, Ganga is on the left, etc. So, all right. So, what is in front? What is behind me? What is on left? What is on right? What is above? What is below? Is all Bhuma. But still, what about the right and left and below and above? And so, not only what is in front is Bhuma, the front also is Bhuma. Not only what is in the back is Bhuma, but back also is Bhuma, left also is Bhuma, right also is Bhuma, above also is. So above and what is above, right and what is right, left and what is left, below and what is below. Seva idam sarvam, therefore Bhuma alone is all of this. That is for us to, this is what Upanishad says. How do you say that, Swamiji? I see people in front, I see wall in front of me. I see some kutia on the right and Ganga on the left and sky on above, earth below. Where is Bhuma? I see earth below, I see sky above, I see Ganga on the left. Is it not so? And still this is Bhuma alone is, where is Bhuma? Ganga is on the left, sky is above, earth is below. That means that earth also is Bhuma, Ganga is also is Bhuma, space also is Bhuma. How can it be? Space is different, Ganga is different, earth is different. Is it not so? Why do you call it Ganga? Why do you call it space? Why do you call it earth? Why do you give different names if they are one thing? Everything is Bhuma. Then why do you have different names and forms? Yeah, but when we look closely, that this is a bangle and this is a chain and this is an earring, that is true. Earring is different, bangle is different, chain is different, and somebody says, no, gold alone is bangle, gold alone is chain, gold alone is earring, gold alone is etc. Then we would examine what is this earring and what is what I call chain, what is it that what I call bangle, what is it? Now when they say, then we take it seriously. Otherwise I think there's somebody crazy saying all this. But that way Shraddha comes. This is what Upanishad says. How can it be? I see the wall in front. How do you say Bhuma is there? Bhagavan is the Bhuma is Bhagavan. So when Upanishad says that, then I have to examine what my understanding is. That's called Shraddha. That is the only way we can learn. The way of learning is shedding ignorance, is examining my present conclusions. What is the big? This is wall, Swamiji. This is river. I mean, what's wrong with that? There's this chain and this earring. What's wrong with that? Nothing wrong. But is it chain or is it gold? Earring or is it gold? Our Swami formerly in the olden days used to carry a chain like that, when you go out for discourses class. And he would show a chain. What is this? Chain. Suppose there is somebody, a villager who has never seen a chain, he only knows gold, and he'll say, this is gold. So who is right? Well, both are right. But then both cannot be right, one has to be right and one has to be more right or something like that. So yes, this is wall, and that is river, etc. We can't say it is wrong, that this is chain, this is bangle, this is earring. But someone says this is gold. So someone says Bhuma. So what is gold? It is the material cause of which all these ornaments are made. So if this is Bhuma, that means what? Bhuma is the material cause of which the front and the back and all these things are made. That's what we have to say. Because Upanishad says that. How can Bhuma be material cause? What is Bhuma? Limitless. Consciousness. Material cause must undergo a change. See, clay is the material cause of the part. When is it possible? When clay undergoes transformation and becomes part. That is how the material cause is. Now, Bhuma is limitless, Bhuma is consciousness, changeless. So, Bhuma does not possess the ability to be a material cause, because material cause should necessarily undergo a change or transformation to become the effect. If then Bhuma, this is Bhuma, that means Bhuma is the material cause of what I call front, back, etc. But Bhuma is changeless. So Bhuma cannot become material cause in a primary sense. Is it not so? Can consciousness become material cause? You should see, if gold is material cause and I can see gold pervading, then I can say that gold is material cause of this chain and this bangle, etc. So material cause is that which you experience in the fact. I don't experience consciousness, I don't experience bhuma, do I? Do you experience bhuma when you see this wall? Or space? Or earth? Or water? Do we or not? That chain is asti. Chain shines in my consciousness. Bhati. Chain is very dear to me because gold, priyam. And so also this cloth is shines, asti, bhati, priyam. So therefore, material cause is that which pervades the effect, pervades names and forms, asti, bhati, priyam. It satisfies the criterion of being material cause. Just as clay, which is material cause of the pot, pervades the pots and pans. Similarly also, asti, bhati, priyam pervades all the objects and therefore satisfies the criterion of being a material cause, which pervades everything. But Swami, material cause is that we should experience. I experience gold, then I can say that gold is the material cause. Where do you experience asti, bhati, priyam? Do you? So bhuma means limitless, and ultimately it will mean Brahman, which means satyam jnanam anantam satchit ananda asti bhati priyam. Do you experience? When you experience wall, you experience asti bhati priyam. Can you experience asti? What can you experience? Something different from you. And bhati and priyam, can they be experienced? No. Then how can you say asti bhati is a material cause? No? If I say you are experiencing asti bhati priyam, would you accept it? Are you experiencing yourself? So I cannot experience myself because experience requires a duality of experience and experienced. How can I experience myself? But you are of the nature of experience and therefore you cannot but experience yourself. You are always aware of yourself. Meaning that whenever I experience anything, I do experience the isness. Where? As myself. Because nothing can be experienced unless I experience myself. Is it not so? So when I experience this wall, etc., etc., that experience cannot take place unless I am experiencing myself, isn't it? Without me, there cannot be any experience. So experience of the wall presupposes the experience of myself. Is it not so? Suppose I am asleep, I don't experience myself. Can I experience wall? The intention is not to confuse you, just to invite you to cooperate with me, that's all. Not just look at me. I am the seer of the wall, I am the seer of the Ganges, I am the seer of the Kutia, I am the seer of the space, I am the seer of the earth. The I am. Is it involved or not? Without I am, can there be a seer of the wall, etc.? No. How do you say I am? Do you know that you are? How? Do you see yourself? Yes, Swami, I see myself. That's the body. Do you see yourself? Do you experience yourself? Do you need to see yourself? There is no need to experience the self as I experience a part, because part requires to be illumined. The self doesn't require to be illumined. I am self-illumined, self-effulgent, and therefore I am a self-evident thing. Thank God. You can take away every experience from me, but you cannot take away this. And that is enough. Even if everything goes away from Bhuma, all the glory goes away. That glory of name and form is because of glory of Asti, Bhati, Priyam. That all the walls and stuff like that, what is because of Asti, shines because of Bhati, is useful because of Priyam. Meaning that I am constantly experiencing Asti, Bhati, Priyam. Whenever I experience anything, and therefore Asti, Bhati, is it the material cause? It satisfies the criterion of material cause. Because material cause is experienced when the effect is experienced. And whenever I experience anything, I always experience Asti, Bhati, Priyam. So just as a pot is made of clay, the wall is made of what? Not bricks. Wall is made of what? Asti, Bhati. Oh. But can you take Asti, Bhati, Priyam and make wall out of that? Can you? Can you take the consciousness and make a wall out of that? Can you take a pot maker or like a mason can take consciousness and build a wall out of that? No? Really no? Has it not been built that way? In the dream, when you experience all the walls and Ganga and this and that, how have you made that? Meaning constantly the making is happening. Somebody asked about the drishti, etc. But then, anyway, we won't go into that. All I am saying is that Asti, Bhati, Priyam is a material cause. But material cause should undergo change. It does not undergo change. So how does it become material cause? Only way that this is a projection, that the consciousness is material cause by being the very adhisthanam of projection of what is called wall, names and forms. So that establishes itself the reality of what I experience. What I experience is mithya, the experience is satyam. And so Asti Bhati Prem doesn't require anything other than itself to be what it is, to shine, it establishes its own glory. Thus, Sevadastat, Sa Uparishtat, Sa Paschat, Sa Purastat, Sa Dakshinatah, Sa Uttarata, Seva Idam Sarvam. Now that is an important sentence. In the passage that you have in front of you, the passage 30th, at the end of the first line, what is it? Seva Idam Sarvam. He alone is everything. Means Bhuma alone is everything. Before saying Bhuma alone is everything, what is everything? Adhastat, Uparishtat, Paschat, Purastat, Dakshinatah, Uttar. That's how everything is described. In the front, at the back, above, below, right, left. That includes everything, let us say. And you can add a few more things if you want. No, but Swami, there is something on the in the corner. Well, add that. So you did not include the corner direction. No, you can add them. You did not include words in somewhere in America. Add that. Add whatever you want. This is Upalaksham. This includes everything that you can think of. The idea is to say this sentence. Seva idam sarvam. Saha bhuma eva. Bhuma alone is all of this. All of this was described as adhastat, uparishtat, paschat, purastat, dakshinata, uttarata. Idam sarvam. So he alone is all this. Then that becomes a Mahavakya. How? Saha eva idam sarvam. Bhuma alone is all of this. All of this and Bhuma is one. All of this is many. Is it not so? The fact that we use the word sarvam means many and saha is singular. And so how can one be all? Only one is right and the other is not right. Or one is right, more right and the other is. That means that what is called sarvam. So Vedanta call it, this Vakya is called Mahavakya or Samadhikaranyam, where Saha and Idam Sarvam. Saha is which case? Nominative singular. Idam Sarvam. Nominative singular. Means Saha is equated to Idam Sarvam. But Idam Sarvam is so many things and Saha is one. How can they be one? So they call it Padas. Just we said Idam Sarvam. How does it happen? It is a projection. The Saha is Bhuma, the consciousness. Idam Sarvam, we said how? By projection, Saha becomes the material cause. So clay alone is all these pots and pans. When pots and pans are what? Projection, Mithya. So Idam Sarvam is all Mithya or projection. And what is this Saha? So this is inviting us to see. Now, seeing is not something that seeing is we are already seeing. Seeing is already taking place. I see all. And I also see Sahar, Bhuma. I may not have noticed that, but I also see Bhuma as myself, as consciousness. I see all of this, and I take for granted that this is different from that. Says, hey, Saha is Idam Sarvam. Saha, this consciousness, the self is all of this. That Asti Bhadipam is all of this, meaning all of this is just a notion, a projection. What is this Saha? That's how, what is the... So Adhastad, Purastad, etc. can be called the glory, but that's not different from Bhuma. And therefore Bhuma doesn't depend upon anything for its glory. That's why I said Bhuma alone is everything. If Devadatta depends upon the wealth in order to be wealthy, when wealth is different, here nothing is different from Bhuma. Therefore, Bhuma, for Sahayeva, he alone is everything. He is the self of all. He is everything. So for being everything, for being self of all, Bhuma has to be just Bhuma. Doesn't depend upon anything. That's a way of saying Bhuma is non-dual. So this is how the nature, by way of describing the glory of Bhuma, is the nature of Bhuma that is being described, because nature itself is a glory. When you say that brightness is the glory of the sun, well, brightness is nature of sun. And so limitlessness is glory of Bhuma, being self of all is glory of Bhuma, being all pervasive, this is all nature of Bhuma. And Bhuma is not because of something else, this is the nature of Bhuma. And then the Upadesha continues, we'll see tomorrow morning. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate Om Shanti 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 Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashya Krutau Vande Bhagavantau Ishvaro Gururatmedi Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyoma Vadvyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Hari Om